Thanks, John. It's a pleasure to be here this morning, and it's a pleasure to invite you all to celebrate the life of a couple of athletes here. It's been a privilege to work with Debbie to share her faith story around the country. Some of you may not know that this ministry that's been taking place with More Than Gold is the largest ecumenical outreach with 3,000 plus churches involved all across the UK. And Debbie's story has been told in a lot of those churches. That piece is a shortened piece of what's been part of the On Your Mark story with Scripture Union that's been going around the churches as part of their Bible Club series. And it's also part of the Sports Alpha side of things. So her faith story and her athletic story is going to be told in many churches across this country and has been over the last 17 days. It is a pleasure and privilege to be associated with Athletes in Action and to have this. They've pretty much put this whole thing on their own. So Mark, I want to thank you, mate, for your team that's been here doing this, and I'd be remiss if I didn't say that. So appreciate it. So without further ado, fantastic award. Thank you, ladies, for allowing us to have the name of Eric with this. Debbie, come join me. Pleasure to present this, the inaugural award. Thank you for all that you've done and for all that you're going to do. Blessings.
You need to stand over there for a little photo. Ladies, can we just face that little way for a photo? Thank you. Just a little photo moment, of course, that we need to take. Great, thank you. Debbie, come and join me. Thanks, David. I think you're going to stay. Do you want to take a seat here, ladies? Is that all right? Thank you. Stay with us for the next one.
Well, thank you very much to Heather and Patricia for being here to present the award today. Eric Liddell is a name that, a household name that I grew up with, not only because he was a legendary Olympian, but also, of course, most importantly, because he was a great man of faith and someone who stuck to his beliefs over and above anything else in his life. And went where the Lord led him. So to be associated in any way with this award is a great honour today. I'm here because of the opportunities that God has given me in my life, and also, of course, because of the support and encouragement of all my friends and family along the many years that I've been rowing and throughout my life. My grandparents and my mum have prayed for me every single day of my life since I was born, and that's massively shaped who I am and what I've done with my life. Also, people who have supported me along my sporting career. Stuart Weir, who's here today, has been a massive encouragement and support to me throughout that time, so thank you very much for that. It is an honour to be here today. Thank you to More Than Gold and Athletes in Action for their vision and also all the hard work that must have gone into today putting on the breakfast and the awards, so thank you.
Can I ask you a few questions about you? Is that all right? You can hold that.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your foundation that you've been involved with and why you've done that.
Being involved in sport gave me a lot of opportunities to go and talk in schools and meet a lot of youngsters, and I started working with kids that were disruptive in class and that had a lot of social problems as well. And there are a lot of youngsters that need a second chance in life, and I found along the way that actually sport is a good way. It's a mechanism to engage them and build out a relationship with them, and then from there go on and sort of try and help them change their lives and give them more opportunities, employment, and also sort of social skills and involving in the community.
I'm sure that's as much a part of the award you've been given today as anything else. And I know it's a bit of a weird time for you this. You're a few days into retirement. Tell us a bit about how that feels and what you're hoping is in your near future.
I've rowed for 15 years of my life now, so this is my last Olympics. I'm looking forward to working. My job as such is as a prison officer at the moment, working with juveniles, 15 to 18-year-olds. So I'm really looking forward to putting the passion and energy that I've had within my rowing into my working life. God's really put on my heart to work with youngsters and disruptive kids and families. So I'm really looking forward to getting into that, but a little bit of a break first, a month or so off, just to breathe and relax and see my family.
Well, we wish you all the best. Ladies and gentlemen, Debbie Flood.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thanks, Debbie. I'd like to introduce you to Mark, who's the president of Athletes in Action, and he's going to present this award for us. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, John. What a great morning. We have waited for this moment for a long, long time. I still remember the very first time that I watched the Chariots of Fire movie, and that line about Eric Liddell feeling God's pleasure when he runs has stuck with me for a long time. You had a phenomenal father. And so we are excited this morning with our partners, More Than Gold and David Wilson and his leadership, Agape UK, Beyond the Ultimate, a beautiful facility, Central Methodist Hall, and a number of our friends helping to lift up character where it really belongs, at the Olympics. And it's a privilege for us to continue to extend the character and integrity legacy of one Mr. Eric Liddell. And it's my privilege now to introduce to you the male recipient of this award, Mr. Bryan Clay.
Ladies, do you want to come again? You'll come over this side again. Mark, we'll go this way again. Sorry to get you up and down. We need the photo. Bless you, Matt. You need to just do the photo call there. Thank you. Thanks. Bryan, come and... Yeah, you can head down if you'd like to. That's fine, Will. You can head down. Thank you.
Kind of nice, huh?
Yeah, thank you.
Well, good morning, everybody. First of all, I wanted to thank Patricia and Heather for being here. This is a huge honor for me. I'd also like to thank Athletes in Action and More Than Gold for presenting me with this award. I really appreciate it. This is it's not very often you receive awards like this, so it's very nice to get something that's about not just the gold medal or what you've won in terms of athletics, but also about off the track and what you're trying to do with your life. So thank you. Before I go on, I've got a bunch of people here, and it's basically my sponsors, my friends, my family, my agent, and I'd like to thank all of them for coming out here. I don't get to do what I do by myself. I've got a team of people that support me, and without their support and encouragement, there's absolutely no way I'd be able to do the things that I do. So thank you to them for coming. I don't want to be too long because I know we're going to get to some questions, and I know we're running a little late and all that kind of stuff, and you guys have things to do. But I remember when I was growing up, I wasn't the best kid, and I remember my mom in desperation making me watch Chariots of Fire, forcing me to watch Chariots of Fire. And I remember when she first told me, I was like, what is this movie? Why do you want me to watch this? And I remember when it first came on, it was kind of this black and white scene, and I was like, oh my gosh, you're going to make me watch a black and white movie. I just thought I was going to be miserable the entire time. Very quickly into the movie, though, I found out that this was more than just a black and white movie. It was more than my mom just trying to forced me to watch something that she wanted me to watch. I remember watching this movie, and I remember just getting goosebumps. And I remember being so inspired. And I was probably 16 years old when I watched it. It was the most amazing thing to me to see someone actually that I could relate to. I wasn't, like I said, the best of kids. I didn't know what my walk with Christ was supposed to be like. In fact, I wouldn't even say that I had a walk with Christ at that point, or that I was walking with Christ at that point. But just knowing that everything that my mom was trying to teach me, and then seeing a guy that actually was living it, even though I wasn't doing it myself, was hugely inspiring. When Eric Liddell said the line, and we've talked about it, when I run, I feel God's pleasure, it's something that I've never forgotten my entire life. And it's something that I quote now in my interviews and things that I do. When I was getting ready to get this award, I remember thinking to myself, what am I going to say? And I started thinking about Eric Liddell. I started thinking about the movie and all that kind of stuff. And I thought about the fact that people always ask me, who did you look up to when you were an athlete, as you're an athlete? Did you have an idol? Did you have a mentor? Who was it that made a difference in your life? And it wasn't until I got this award and I was having to really think about it. My answer used to always be, never had one. Just didn't. When I started reading about Eric Liddell and started researching a little bit more in depth, I realized that it's got to be him. It's got to be him. There's nobody else that I know of that had taken the stands, that were willing to lose the gold medal to stand up for what he believed in. And that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be like. And so thank you again for this award. I can't tell you how much it means to me. I really appreciate it.
Let me ask you a couple of quick questions. You've done most of it. You've alluded to the fact you weren't the best boy in the world. Without going into gory details, which we don't need, tell me a little bit more about kind of what your life was like and how the kind of turning point in your life changed the way you thought about things, the way you believed things.
Yeah, so I grew up in Hawaii. Not the worst place to grow up.
No? I grew up in Middlesbrough. It's quite similar.
Yeah. You know, I basically, when I was growing up, I wasn't exposed to a lot in terms of what life could offer. And so I grew up thinking I was going to surf in the mornings, maybe work at like 7-Eleven, which is, you know, small convenience, little shop, and then surf in the afternoons. And that was what my life was going to consist of. That was going to be my contribution to the world. And I think because of some other things that were going on in my life and kind of this lack of motivation to really go beyond what I was living in, I started to get in trouble. My parents got divorced, and it was a kind of a nasty divorce. I started getting in trouble in school. I didn't have the tools or the tools to work through emotions and to deal with problems, and so I started acting out and making bad decisions. Of course, you know, it rolled into junior high school and high school, and there were girls and drugs and alcohol and all those types of things. And it wasn't until I got into college. I went to a small Christian school. It was called Azusa Pacific University, for those of you that are looking for colleges for your kids. But just a wonderful school. My story about getting there is kind of crazy. I had an opportunity to go to any school I wanted to in the country. I had, you know, scholarship offers from everywhere. My mom nagged me to just make Azusa Pacific my first visit. And I went there on my first visit, decided that was the school I wanted to go to. I have no idea why, because I quickly found out, and I knew before I signed my letter of intent that I was going to have to go to chapel 3 times a week, and that everybody there was going to hang out at church on Sundays for fun, and I wanted nothing to do with that at that point. But for some reason, I signed my letter of intent. That's where I went to school. Met a girl there, really who I would say sparked some of the biggest change in my life. It wasn't until my sophomore year that she was able to do it, but she finally broke me down. And then and then at that point met men in my life that taught me and were examples of what it meant to be godly Christian men and how to put your family first and how to have priorities and that sort of thing.
And, you know, obviously you won the decathlon gold in 2008, which is an incredible achievement, I guess, the greatest sportsman on the planet at that point. And yet I know that as well as highs, there's probably been lows, like for every athlete. How has your faith had an impact on those highs and lows, perhaps not even qualifying this year? How has that helped you, that faith?
Well, I think my faith is my base, right? It's my foundation. It's where all of my thoughts come from. It's where I make my decisions. My decisions are based off of, and in the highs, it's really easy, you know, to have faith. It's really easy to go, oh, thank you, Lord, you know, this is great. It was fun. I think the lows were really, really tough for me. And in our sport, or in sports in general, as everybody will tell you, you know, we focus a lot on the outcome, right, the win, and that becomes very, very important. So it kind of can get very easy to forget what's really important, and it's very easy to lose your way and to just lose your perspective. For me, I was lucky that I always had people around me that helped me to remember perspective and remember what was most important. I had examples like Eric Liddell to show me that it can be done, that you can, you know, be the person that you want to be, keep your values, keep your morals, you know, put God first, and those types of things, and win a gold medal. So for myself, going through, I'll give you guys just a little story, going through some different times that I had to go through, some of the low times that I was having. I didn't make the Olympics this year. I was training hard, fell and hit a hurdle, and as I was having to not contemplate, but just look back on my career and my life and the things that were going on, I came to the realization that it's not about the wins or the losses. It's about the journey, and that's what is so important. And so, always having this kind of idea or this perspective that that, you know, what I've been given for not necessarily for me, and it's not necessarily because I need to win. It's because I feel like God has given me the medals and the experiences that I have, because I remember somebody preaching about stones of remembrance, and how, you know, for me, these things that I get to do are just my stones of remembrance. So when I get to go around and show my gold medal and things like that, it's my way of being able to say, you know, look at what God's done in my life. When people ask, how did you do that? It's an opportunity for me to talk about the faithfulness that God has had in my life. And I think that's really cool, and it's what keeps me going, whether I lose, whether I win. I understand that they all play a role in my testimony and my ability to prove that there is a God, you know.
Wonderful. Ladies and gentlemen, Bryan Clare. Thank you. It was wonderful, mate.